Hey, so today I'm going to be showing you some ideas we have for tea towel printing for Easter. Our latest blog post on our website is how you can use your Indian printing blocks to hand print presents for this Easter Sunday. Now, our idea was to see how many of you we can get involved with our Send a Tea Towel campaign. So rather than sending chocolate, and obviously because it's difficult to see our friends and family, we thought it'd be really nice to hand make them a present and pop it in the post, and what a wonderful surprise that would be to open this Easter. So our blog is on our website and it contains loads of ideas and things, but on this video I'm specifically going to show you how to print this Meadow and Bee Hive tea towel. So I'm going to show you all the equipment you need and some tips for doing it at home. This really gorgeous design was inspired by a customer who did something similar on a workshop here at the studio, and it's been a complete favourite of ours ever since. Now, many of you I know will already have the designs that we've used on the tea towel, as they're all super popular, but we also do now have the full set of blocks that you can purchase on the website. Now, this tea towel design works in loads of different colourways, and you can totally personalise and change the design to suit you. Or if you have slightly different blocks at home, you can still do a similar layout. I've tried it in loads of different colourways, and I'm going to share them all on the blog so you can see which colours you prefer. The sample I'm going to be printing today, I'm going to be doing different to this one, so you can see a couple of different styles. Now, for anyone who hasn't block printed before, I suggest you also watch after this video our how to block print video, which is on our YouTube channel, as I won't be running through all the basic tips on this video, but I will talk through the equipment you need. So for this project, you're going to need your foam printing mat or equivalent, so a yoga mat or a camping mat. That's the soft surface that you always need to be printing onto so that your blocks can get a good connection with your fabric. You're going to need a paint tray, anything will do, just something to put your paint into. I've got my sponges, I've got my printing blocks, so whichever designs you choose to use. I've got my fabric paints. Now, it is really important that you're using a textile paint for this project so that the fabric will be washable. So the fabric paints I'm using are violet, khaki, indigo and mustard, and these are our textile paints that just require heat setting. Then I'm going to be printing on my tea towel, and we have organic tea towels and white cotton. Both print great, but this sample is printed onto the white cotton, and I'm going to be practicing onto the organic, so you can see how they both look. I do prefer to print onto the organic. The fabric paint just absorbs really nicely into that. And then don't forget you're going to need some practice fabric. That's really important with a design like this, is that you really lay out and plan it on your practice fabric so that you're confident for when you move on to your tea towel. And then you're just going to need a dry cloth as well to clean your blocks in between printing. I've changed the camera angle so you can see really clearly what I'm doing. I've poured my paints out onto my tray, and I've cut a piece of practice fabric, which is just plain calico, down to the right size, so I have a rough idea of the size of my tea towel, so I can practice working on this space. Now, so you see that's the same. Now, with this design, I want to print a row of Meadow and Bee Hive at the bottom and then the top of my tea towel. So I'm going to have a practice on my practice fabric, the spacing, and on this practice fabric, it's where that you can play around with different colours and designs. So I'll put that at the bottom there, so I've got an idea. But you just want to make sure you get really confident with your design on your practice fabric. So I'm roughly going to have a look how many times I can fit my meadow on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe a little bit left at the end. So what I might do is leave a little gap either side. And like you can see here, I've just filled this corner in with a little bit extra. So don't worry if you have spacing, but you want to try and roughly figure out how many you're going to fit on. So I'm going to start on here. So I'm going to do my my khaki at the bottom. So I'm going to tap the paint all over. Get a really nice even coverage. And then give it a wiggle. And up. Now I think I might do a similar to the other tea towel, so I'm going to do my Bee Hive next. Now, when you're using brand new blocks, they always take a couple of prints to warm up. So don't worry if they're not printing perfectly at first, just keep trying with them, warm the blocks up, and they'll start to print better as they absorb a little bit of paint. So that came out really nicely. I'm going to do my... Now make sure you always reapply paint each time. That way you're going to get a nice clear print. If you try and print twice with only one lot of paint on there, you'll hardly get any of the design show up. Pull that along. Now you'll be able to tell that the foam mat is really important to be working on top of. So important to have a soft surface underneath you so that when you put your block down, you've got a nice bit of give and you just want to rock it side to side, up and down, just make sure you get all the edges. With a bigger design, I normally use a flat palm of my hand, flat, and just give it a good wiggle. Whereas something little, like the little embellishment block, you just need to give it a really light wiggle. Give that bit of wiggle and then up. Now, if you do end up with a little bit of extra at the side, you know, you could always choose whether you did a little half print there, you could do another little beehive, or what I might do is do a meadow. So if I get a little bit of paper, what I'll do is just put that at the side of you, just under your paper, and then under your fabric. Tap the paint on again, and then I'm just going to print off the edge, and that paper will catch any excess paint so that you get a really nice clear half print. There we go. And then you can just move that out the way, and there you go, I've got a really clear kind of consecutive print which makes a really nice pattern. Now the next stage of this design is I want to add a couple of little flowers and things around. So I've already got the bases here. So now this bit's really nice and easy. You can just have a play around with these blocks. So in the sample, I've done some layering. So what I might do is with my blue, just see what you can come up with. Now, I know sometimes when you start printing something, you think, oh, it doesn't really look that great, but keep working with it, because quite often it takes a while for the design to really come together, and you need to add all these little components to really bring the design together. Now I've got my little bee. Now, as you can see with these little designs, you really want to make sure you're not putting too much paint onto them, and only pressing really lightly. Keep applying paint each time. There's some nice bees, and then I'm going to go with the next colour. Now with my designs, normally I always do the beehive in the yellow, the meadow in the khaki, and then the bees in the yellow, and then you can swap the colours on the little embellishment blocks and the flowers, but I tend to stick to the same colour just to keep the pattern quite consistent, but it's completely up to you what you'd like to do. I'll do the flower now. Actually, we might do that in a little bit of blue. So what I do with this tea towel design is I have the meadow and beehive strip at the bottom and the top, and then in the middle I just have a mixture of little flowers and things. So you could do something different, you could do another row of meadow and beehives, but I quite like having just the little blocks, keep it quite simple in the middle, quite white, and just join the two ends up with some little prints. So that's what I'm going to practice here, just working out what my layout would be. Now and there we have it. That is my sample piece of fabric, which I'm really happy with. Now you could just keep playing on this, you know, keep trying to figure out the design and stuff, but you want to feel confident with your design before you move on to your tea towel. So I'm going to iron my tea towel quickly so it's ready for printing, and then show you how to do that. So I've ironed my organic tea towel, so that's ready for printing, no creases in or anything. And I'm going to keep my bit of practice fabric here so I can refer back to that for any designs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly again just measure how many times my beehive, and then a gap at the end again. So it's very similar to my practice. So just make sure that once you're confident with printing on your practice fabric, you move on to your tea towel. And it's exactly the same. Make sure you have your mat underneath you and print in exactly the same way you did with your piece of practice fabric. Now there's a top and a bottom. All our tea towels have a little hook on. So this is the top. So I'm going to do the bottom. So I'm going to make sure I print it this way. So just make sure you're printing the right way around before you start. Now I just started my first print a little bit inwards because I know I'm going to have a gap either side, so I'd rather have the same gap on each side. So I've left a little bit there which I can do a couple of prints in. Now, a couple of tips I just thought of while I was printing. With your design, if you're using the same design over and over again, the paint can start to fill up in the detail. So if your prints are starting to look a little bit blobby or anything, make sure you take a dry cloth. Now this is just a rag, just a dry fabric rag, and you can clean the blocks off. You can even run them under the tap, scrub out the paint with a nail brush, but just get it back so it's all nice and clear, and then you can start again with applying your paint so you don't have any splodges within your print. And another tip that I just noticed myself because I've made some smudges is try not to tap the paint on the block over your tea towel because it can leave little splatter marks. So try and tap away from your tea towel. Now I have got quite a big half gap here. So I think what I might do, I might get a piece of paper and I'm going to block it off, and then I'm going to do a little half print. Or another tip you can use is if you get a little bit of masking tape, just put that over the edge there, and that will also catch your paint. So I just need to... So I've also taped over my hem because I want to have a nice clean border around all my tea towel. So I'm going to put that down. Then print that, pull that back up, and there you have it. I've got my really nice clean hem and my half print. Hopefully you can see that. Now, at this end, I'm not going to do that. What I might do is get my block, I'm going to clean off the blue, and I'm just going to do a little green print in there to keep with the colour, maybe a little flower. There we go, and that's kind of filled in my gap. Now what I'm going to do is I've done the bottom, and I'm going to shimmy this down, and I'm going to go to the top. Now this is a bit of a debate I've been having. Do you then switch the direction and print it going the other way, or do you print going the same way? Now it's completely up to you. What I've done in this sample is I printed this one going this way, and then I switched directions and printed the other one going that way. So it's completely up to you. It's kind of personal preference what you'd like to do. This dries really quickly, so you just don't want to fold it or anything while it's wet, but you can hang it over the edge. And I'm going to I'm going to stick with my gut and I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to print the row of borders so it's facing down the tea towel. So what I might do, switch this around, keep my sample there. Now I'm going to do the top and the bottom first, and then I can go back and fill in the gaps later. Now what I would suggest doing this bit is look where you did your last beehive. I don't want to do it the same place. I'm going to do it on the opposite side this time. So just make sure you check that out. So I'm going to do it over here. Now just make sure that when you're printing something like a tea towel, you have a nice clear space. You just need a kitchen table or something, even a table outside in the garden, but just enough space so that you can lay your tea towel out and have everything you need around you. Now there you have it. I've got my top and bottom border for my tea towel, which I'm really happy with. I'm on the organic, the khaki and the Indigo yellow come out so nicely. I absolutely love these colours on here. So I'm really happy with that. And now I'm just going to work out just doing some dotting some little designs in the middle just to bring the two ends of the tea towel together. Now it's good if you can stretch your whole tea towel out during this bit so you can see exactly where you're placing the designs. Now quite often I go one design at a time. So if I start with my bee first and then print this all over. As you can see, I just keep moving my foam mat around to make sure I'm always printing onto that. And the directions of the bees, I've just kind of scattered them around and changed direction so that the tea towel is nice and free flowing in between. Very happy that this is all dry now, so I'm going to do a little bit of layering over the meadow, just with some leaves and flowers, just to add to the design. But make sure you only do this little bit when your fabric is totally dry. So I have filled in the middle, just using a variety of the different designs and different colours. I've also done some layering on top of the meadow with the flower and the leaf, and I'm going to leave it to dry now. So I'm really happy with my finished tea towel. I hope you can see that it is such a beautiful design, but it's actually very simple and easy to put together. Now, once I had finished my tea towel, so here we go. I'm really excited to give this to somebody. I just think it's a design that everybody would love. Now once you've finished your tea towel, you want to heat set it. So I ironed all over my fabric with a very hot dry iron for as long as you can bear, but just to ensure that each print gets really hot. And make sure you do it on the front. The paint will not come off on your iron, I promise. Just make sure it's hot all over, and then that will set the paint and make it permanent or washable. Now, if at that point, for any reason you realise that you've missed a little bit, you can always go back and add anything else. And after heat setting, it is fully washable at 40 degrees or under and can go in with all your other fabrics and clothes. So I'm going to get ready to wrap this up and give it as a present. And now I have heat set, packaged, printed a beautiful tag for my tea towel, ready to send as part of our Print a Tea Towel for Easter campaign. I can't wait to send this to someone. I'm going to print 5 more because that's how many there is in a pack. So I've got 5 friends and family members that are going to be getting a beautiful new hand printed tea towel. And also show you quickly, I've also printed some really nice cards with the set as well. So it's really easy to be able to mix and match your designs, and there's endless possibilities of what you can do with them. But I hope this has inspired you to do some printing, and thanks very much for watching.